From Trask Coliseum on the campus of the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, New Hanover County Schools Television is proud to present live coverage of the Regional Science Olympiad. Regional Science Olympiad is made possible with the support of General Electric, Corning, New Hanover County Schools, UNCW and the UNCW Watson College of Education, C-STEM, the Center for Education in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, and McDonald's.
I am Ely Feldman, and I am here with my co-host Milo Kenny.
Over the next 4 hours, we will be bringing you interviews, a host of special reports focused on the competition, plus our exclusive live moment-by-moment coverage of all events taking place around us here at Trask Coliseum.
Just to give you an idea of the scope of this year's Olympiad, today in several buildings on the UNCW's campus, students will be competing in over 30 different events. The events are divided into two divisions, B and C.
The B division is geared towards middle school students, while Division C is geared towards high school students. Some events are held in both divisions.
It's an exciting day for science here, as well as at NHCS TV. We have nearly 20 high school students working behind the scenes and on air to bring you today's live coverage.
And keep it tuned here all day, because after our event coverage, we will be broadcasting the entire award ceremony live later in the afternoon.
Right now, there's a lot going on around us, and we are going to jump right into the action.
That's right, we have plenty of special videos and reports ahead, but the day belongs to the students. So let's send it over to one of our reporters, Thomas, who is standing by at Boom Believer.
I'm here live reporting at the Boom Believer, where we are watching a fierce competition between two competitors right now. The other competitors are getting ready to start, and the group on the left has created an incredible structure. We have been watching the bucket fill up with sand for maybe 5 minutes at this point, and the structure is holding strong. I've heard that glue joints and gaps in the glue joints are supposedly incredibly bad, but luckily these two competitors seem to have everything figured out. The construction, it just seems immaculate. I am on the edge of my seat right now, and I can only imagine what the competitors are thinking. Now we are getting quite close to the end on the left side, and we've just started on the right. Sand is coming fast and hard. Now, Boom Believers are constructed only of wood and bonded by glue, and there were no limits in the cross-sections of the wood pieces used. The only limits are the Boom Believer wall attachments should be designed to fit 3 bolts. And it seems like the competitors have followed this exactly. Now, they are doing an amazing job. Oh my God, the pressure is increasing. Oh, and the Boom Believer is still staying strong. The pressure on the sand has lowered, though, and we are figuring this out. And it looks like the competitors are done. That's all I have from the Boom Believer section. But come back to us later, and I'll fill you in. Back to you.
I'm here with Miss Carmen Sudbury, co-director, and I am Milo, and this is my co-anchor, Ely.
Hi.
Miss Sudbury, as a first-time co-director, what has the experience been like for you?
It's been overall exciting, I think. While this event, we've done it many years here at UNCW, so I have the benefit of lots of institutional memory, lots of great volunteers, and a wonderful staff to support me. So while it is a huge event, lots of moving parts, requires the input of lots of volunteers. And volunteers are really, they're giving of their time, their energy, their expertise. So, we're pretty fortunate to have that.
Absolutely.
That makes it, something, I think for me, the first time you're a little nervous about it because you think about how big it is. But I think just on a big scale, for me, it really reminds me of how great humanity is, that people are willing to step up and to give. And so making that connection has been really good.
Awesome.
How How have things been going so far this morning?
So good so far. It has been, we've had to do some re-engineering on the fly, and but the mindset of like the volunteers, they're not stumped by a challenge, and they step into the challenge, and so we're, I think we're rolling pretty good. So it's been good so far, and we're keeping our fingers crossed. So we'll roll into the afternoon with the same kind of energy.
And this is a massive event, obviously. How have you gone preparing for it?
So lots of planning, but even the best plans for something like this, there are those things you can't anticipate. People. We've had a few people who are not able to make it because they're ill. It's that season, flu season, and we won't talk about the other thing that we're thinking about. But because we bring in volunteers also from different parts of the state, so it's a little bit of when it all comes together, it's wonderful. And then, like I said before, amazing people are filling the gaps where the planning doesn't quite go the way we thought it would. Yeah.
And where do you pull your volunteer base from?
So we have wonderful support from GE. They bring a big team here. We have people who've done this event for years and actually travel the whole state to do some of these events, like our elastic launch glider. The Helms family have been around for years supporting this event in Wilmington, but also across the state. Similarly, in Sounds of Music, we have Trish Mullins, who goes from different venues. We're fortunate that Wilmington is a destination of choice by many, so we draw in people who don't mind coming to the area. But we also tap into our the parents of students who are part of a team. Yesterday we had wonderful volunteers lugging chairs. We borrowed a vehicle to move over the boom lever breakers. It's just amazing. It feels like an amazing community that really comes together to support Science Olympiad. And of course, I couldn't forget about our faculty here at UNCW. They're opening up their labs. They're giving their time. Their grad students are working as well. So it's a big community effort that we draw from people from both the higher ed community, the local community, as well as, of course, our educators in middle school and high school.
And this event is obviously being hosted at UNCW, and they've provided a lot of help with you guys. Just how important is the support of university for these high schoolers and middle schoolers in events like these?
Yeah, so the community, or UNCW, we view ourselves as part of a bigger community system. And so we are also very interested in bringing in great students, and I think definitely students who participate in Science Olympiad have the caliber of skills and hunger even for education that we really look for in students here at UNCW. And I think, in general, across the nation, STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, are areas as a nation that we're trying to really get more students to consider, studying in that area and ultimately pursuing degrees in that area. Yeah, and so I think it really begins as early as this, middle school and high school, to really kind of awaken young people's curiosity about science and math and technology and connecting how they're learning in the classroom. This gives them an opportunity to really showcase some of the things that they're learning with the chance to do hands-on kinds of activities. So it really is about the end goal of, helping our future citizens, really arming them with skills and opportunities to really hone some skills in those areas that I think are vital to our all communities, both locally, regionally, and then I would say across the nation. There's a real need.
That's great.
And what can the community do to support Science Olympiad?
Well, I think continuing to give their time. I think the other thing that I think we see in a lot of our volunteers who are professionals coming back, sharing their expertise, and really encouraging young people. Some may complimentary comments about how their products are doing. Of course, you hear the cheers occasionally when we launch some of the gliders or the Ping-Pong Parachute that is really hanging up there. So it is it's great to see this kind of enthusiasm and excitement about science and engineering. I'm an engineer by training, so often we're kind of thought of a little geeky, that we like to stay in our labs, or just we get sometimes a bad rap.
Right. But you guys have a great turnout here. A lot of people filling the seats.
Turnout.
Yeah, and the energy of the young people, and even will amp up more as we get into preparing for the award ceremony.
That's true.
Yes.
So I think it's good for everybody to see that and benefit from that science is fun and exciting, and I think that this event really showcases that.
And what medals do you think you'll be able to hand out today?
Oh wow, we're probably going to hand out close to 500 medals today.
Oh, wow.
Between, we have 40 teams, 40 middle school teams,
oh, wow.
And 27 high school teams, and so
it's a lot of teams.
A lot of teams,
and
lots of rankings. So yeah, we'll do quite a few. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm on call today.
I bet. Yeah.
So each year, Science Olympiad grows, and what are your plans for the future of Science Olympiad?
Well, we want to continue to support the growth. We are perhaps having to be a little innovative with, if you think about 40 middle school teams, and in some cases, teams can be up to 2 to 3 students. So you start thinking about our lab space. In a lab space, how do we do that?
Yeah.
Do we go to kind of modular setups of labs? Because many of our labs don't have quite that capacity to handle 40 kids in a room at one time trying to do an experiment.
Yeah.
So, we're taking some notes about that, for the future. Just how do we continue to handle the growth and keep providing opportunities like this, which I think are so beneficial for our young people.
All right, awesome. Well, this has been a great interview with you, Miss Sidbury.
Yes, thank you very much.
And it's Dr. Sidbury. But
I'm so sorry, Dr. Sidbury.
Yeah.
This has been very informative, and we'll come back with more of Science Olympiad next.
Yeah.
Right stuff. As you can see, they just took off the plane, and earlier the plane broke and a little piece of it fell off. Right Stuff is a Division C event for the 2020 season. The event involves making, testing, and flying an airplane powered by a twisted rubber band with the goal of achieving the longest flight duration. The airplane can be of any design. As you can see, the contestants came back with some glue, and they're about to glue on the piece that fell off. And hopefully it'll glue back and stay in for enough time for them to complete it, because they only have 5 minutes to get it back together and get it to reach the highest potential of points. So an average Right Stuff airplane consists of 6 parts. The wing assembly, which is a frame made of stick of low-density balsa wood glued together, covered and glued with a thin covering made of paper or plastic. Motor stick, which is a fuselage or body of the plane. A tail boom or tail of the plane. And the propeller assembly, which includes the propeller, the thrust bearing, and the wire propeller shaft. Finally, the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical stabilizer. All right, now back to you.
Okay. We're standing at the Boomalever, and something incredible has just happened. We've never seen a competitor like this. Almost all of the sand in the in the container has completely decreased, and they completely ran out of sand. They completely ran out of sand. This is some of the best structure we've seen so far. I can't see any gaps in glue joints, and the structure, it's show-stopping. I mean, it's incredible. Wow. I think there's an audience gathered just to look at the spectacle that this is. Wow, incredible. I mean, we've just never seen anything like this. That's all from the Boom Believer section. But we will report on anything else that happens today. Back to you.
For the past 32 years, Science Olympiad has led a revolution in science education. What began as a grassroots assembly of science teachers is now one of the premier science competitions in the nation, providing rigorous, standards-based challenges to more than 5,700 teams in 48 states.
Science Olympiad's ever-changing event lineup provides a variety of career choices and exposure to practicing scientists and mentors.
This year, at the Southeastern Regional Science Olympiad, the events are broken into two divisions. B are for middle school students, and Division C are for high school students. A number of events are crossover events and can be found in both divisions.
Here is a complete list of events for Division B.
Crimebusters. This is a lab-based event. Teams will be given a crime scenario which they will be asked to solve based on evidence they gather and test.
Density Lab. Students competing in this event have a two-part challenge. They take a test on topics such as mass, density, pressure, and volume. Then they apply their skills to a lab portion where they get the results from experiments.
Elastic Launch Glider. This is a building event. Teams will build and test ahead of time up to 2 gliders that are launched into the air by an elastic band. At the competition, teams will have 5 minutes to complete up to 5 official flights for the maximum time allowed.
Food Science. Teams will answer questions and perform tests relating to chemical and physical properties of ingredients and processes used in making several different products.
Game On. This event will determine a team's ability to design and build an original computer game using the program Scratch, incorporating the scientific theme provided to them by the supervisor.
Heredity. Participants will solve problems and analyze data or diagrams using their knowledge of basic principles of genetics.
Meteorology. This event involves the use of process skills as applied to the science of the processes and phenomena of the atmosphere, especially as a means of forecasting the weather.
Mission Possible. Participants will design and build a Rube Goldberg-like device which demonstrates a series of energy transfers to accomplish a specific task.
Mousetrap Vehicle. This is a construction event. Prior to the competition, teams will build a vehicle that uses propulsive energy from 1 or 2 mousetraps as its sole means of propulsion to push a paper cup forward, reverse direction, and stop as close as possible to a vehicle target point.
Reach for the stars. Teams may be viewing any combination of models, pictures, diagrams or charts, or record and written descriptions. They will then be asked to answer questions, label diagrams, make graphs, etc. related to the information. The topic is properties and evolution of star.
Road Scholar. This event requires the accurate interpretation and understanding of various map features using a variety of road and topographic maps.
In Division C, students will compete in the following events.
Astronomy. Teams identify deep sky objects and solve astronomy problems. They will also have to demonstrate an understanding of stellar evolution and normal and starburst galaxies.
Chemistry Lab. Students will demonstrate chemistry laboratory skills related to selected topics. This will be part lab and part test.
Codebusters. Teams will decode encrypted messages using cryptanalysis techniques. They will also show their skills with advanced ciphers by encrypting or decrypting a message.
Designer Genes. In this event, participants will solve problems and analyze data or diagrams using their knowledge of basic principles of genetics, molecular genetics, and biotechnology.
Detector Building. In this event, teams will build a durable temperature sensing device that will accurately measure and display temperatures between 0 and 75 degrees Celsius to determine the temperature of 4 different water samples. Teams may bring one participant constructed temperature sensing device with a laptop or calculator for programming and displaying, 2 calculators of any type, and 1 2-inch or smaller 3-ring binder.
Forensics. This is a lab event. Teams will be given a crime scenario which they will make which they will be asked to solve based on evidence they have gathered and tested. Teens will then be asked to analyze the information they have gathered to identify a suspect and solve the crime.
Geologic mapping. Teams may be viewing any combination of rock samples. They will then be asked to answer questions about the sample, including identification, classification by properties, origin, uses, and importance.
Gravity vehicle. Teens must design, build, and test one vehicle and ramp that uses the vehicle's gravitational potential energy as its sole means of propulsion to reach a target as quickly and as accurately as possible. Each team must bring one vehicle, one ramp, alignment devices if used, one practice log, and additional spare parts as well as counterweights to secure the ramp. Teens may also bring data, one standalone calculator of any type along with non-electric tools which do not need to be impounded.
Protein modeling. Students will use computer visualization and online resources to construct physical models of the CRISPR protein that is being engineered to edit plant and animal cell genomes.
Sounds of music. Teens must construct and tune one device prior to the tournament based on a 12-tone equal tempered scale and complete a written test on the physics of the sound.
Right Stuff. This is a building event. Teams will build and test ahead of time up to 2 rubber-powered single-prop monoplanes. At the competition, teams will have 8 minutes to complete up to 2 official flights for the maximum time allowed.
Events found in both the B and C divisions include
Anatomy and physiology. Teams may be viewing any combination of models, pictures, diagrams, charts, or descriptions. They will then be asked to answer questions ranging from basic anatomy identification to related diseases and conditions.
Boomalever. This is a building event. Teams will design and build ahead of time a boomalever constructed from wood and glue capable of bearing a load. The boomalever will be loaded until either it breaks or 15 kilograms are held.
Circuit lab. Participants must complete tasks and answer questions about electricity and magnetism. They will also show their knowledge of building circuits and electrical control systems.
Disease detective. This event requires students to apply principles of epidemiology to a published report of a real-life health situation or problem.
Dynamic planet. In this event, teams answer questions and have to draw conclusions and predict likely future occurrences based on historic information. The topics for the 2020 tournament are glaciers, glaciation, and long-term climate change.
Experimental design. This event will determine the participants' ability to design, conduct, and report the findings of an experiment conducted entirely on site. Participants must bring goggles and writing utensils. Chemicals that require other safety clothing will not be used.
Fossils. Teams may be viewing any combination of specimens, pictures, models, or recorded and written descriptions. They will then be asked to answer questions about the specimen, including but not limited to identification, preservation, dating, life and environment, and fossilization process.
Machines. Teams will complete a written test on simple and compound machine concepts and construct a lever-based measuring device prior to the tournament to determine the ratio between 2 masses. Each team may bring one 3-ring binder of any size containing any information in any form and from any source, as well as any tools or supplies needed and their impound device.
Ornithology. Participants will be assessed on their knowledge of North American birds. Each team may bring one 2-inch or smaller 3-ring binder containing information in any form and from any source, along with one commercially produced field guide not contained in the binder.
Ping-Pong Parachute. Prior to the tournament, teams will design, build, and bring up to 2 bottle rockets to the tournament that will launch a ping-pong ball to stay aloft for the greatest amount of time.
Water quality. In this event, participants will be assessed on their understanding and evaluation of aquatic environments. The 3 focus areas are freshwater ecology, macroflora and fauna ID, and water monitoring and analysis.
Write it, do it. A technical writing exercise where students write a description of a contraption and other students will attempt to recreate it using only the written description.
The challenging and self-motivating events of Science Olympiad align with the North Carolina Standard Course of Study as well as the National Science Education Standards. The events are designed to enhance and strengthen both science content and process skills. Reporting from Science Olympiad, this is Bradley Meadows.
And Milo Kenny.
So there you have an overall 30+ events of this year's Olympiad. In fact, our region's Olympiad has gotten so big that Olympiad is being held at Trask Coliseum on the campus of UNCW, as well as several other campus buildings.
That wraps up our first half hour of the Olympiad coverage. For our veteran watchers, you're all caught up on the new events that people have been competing in. And for our newest viewers, we hope you understand how big Olympiad is and that you are prepared for an afternoon of exciting coverage.
So now, don't go away. When we come back, we'll talk to the State Olympiad Director, feature more events from the Olympiad floor, and explain the scoring of the Olympiad and more.
This is live coverage of the 2020 Regional Science Olympiad from New Hanover County Schools TV. For all the latest, follow us on Twitter at NHCS TV. You can also view our video archive on YouTube under user NHC Schools. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Now don't go away. Science Olympiad coverage from New Hanover County Schools Television will continue right after this quick break. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at NHCS TV.
Hi, I'm Ice-T. As a veteran, I know that for many former servicemen and women, the battle doesn't always end when they come home. Every day, 184 veterans are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress, and sadly, 20 take their own lives. When nothing else helps, professionally trained service dogs can. American Humane, serving the U.S. military for over 100 years, rescues animals in need of forever homes and trains them to become free, life-saving service dogs for our nation's veterans. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or traumatic brain injury, please go to AmericanHumane.org to learn about their Pups for Patriots program. Let's give our veterans a fighting chance.
Hi everyone, Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that after 75 years, Smokey's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Women Heart is in a race to save lives. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women. It's 80% preventable if you know the facts. Millions of women are living with or at risk of heart disease. Get educated. See your doctor. Know the facts. To win this race, we all have to do it together. Our hearts beat as one. To learn more, visit womenheart.org.
New Hanover County Schools television coverage of Regional Science Olympiad. Support for this year's Olympiad is made possible with the help of the University of North Carolina at Wilmington and the Watson School of Education. Now back to New Hanover County Schools television coverage of Regional Science Olympiad.
Welcome back to the second half hour of the live coverage for the 2020 Regional Science Olympics.
Thank you for joining us. There are a lot of events going on around us here. We're going to send it over to Thomas at the Boom Lever.
We're standing at the boom lever section where a group from Murray Middle School is now testing their boom lever. Well, the boom lever might not be as powerful as other it seems like the boom lever has just snapped. And luckily, it seems it only has snapped at the top. Many other boom levers we've seen today have completely ripped in half. It does look like, however, they made substantial progress, and the boom lever supported a significant amount of weight. The boom lever is where we've seen some of the most incredible engineering feats today. They've been built to hold a specific weight at a given distance from vertical surface. We've just actually seen a team earlier today where a boom lever completely supported all of the weight within the gallon tub. Now they are currently weighing how much sand it is. I'll see if I can get any insight on it, but it looks like they did incredibly well. The boom lever seems to be well designed, and that seems like all from the boom lever section. will be back. Back to you.
This year we have 48 schools represented here at the Regional Science Olympiad. Many of these schools have brought multiple teams.
We send it over to Jason Durgala and Shania McDuffie, who have a complete rundown of all the schools represented at this year's event.
This year at Regional Science Olympiad, there are 48 schools participating.
Here is the complete list.
From Blaine County,
Clarkton School of Discovery.
Emerald Blaine Charter School.
From Brunswick County,
Brunswick Early College High.
Cedar Grove Middle School.
Charter Day School.
Leland Middle School.
North Brunswick High.
Charlotte Middle School.
South Brunswick High.
South Brunswick Middle School.
Waccamaw School.
West Brunswick High School.
From Columbus County.
Columbus Charter School.
From Craven.
West Craven High School.
From New Hanover County.
Bio Bosses.
Cape Fear Center for Inquiry.
Charles P. Murray Middle School.
Coastal Christian High.
DC Virgo Prep.
EA Laney High.
Emma B. Trask Middle School.
Eugene Ashley High.
Friends School of Wilmington.
Glow Academy.
Holly Shelter Middle School.
Honors Guild Homeschool.
International School at Gregory.
Isaac Bear Early College.
John T. Hoggart High School.
MCS Noble Middle.
Myrtle Grove Christian Middle School.
Myrtle Grove Middle.
New Hanover High School.
Rowan Grice Middle.
St. Clark's Catholic.
Southeast Area Technical High School.
Williston Middle School.
Wilmington Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Wilmington Early College High School.
From Pender County.
Burgon Middle School.
Cape Fear Middle School.
Heidi Trask High.
Pender High.
Pender Early College High.
Pender Lee Elementary.
Surf City Middle School.
Topsail High.
Topsail Middle School.
Thanks, Shania and Jason. Just the sheer number of schools and events gives you a sense of the scope of the Olympiad. Many events are happening here in Trask as well as in several other buildings on UNCW's campus.
And if you are watching at home and would love to see things in person, the event is here at Trask Coliseum, are open for the public to come and observe any time during the competition. These walk-in events last until 3:30 this afternoon, so you have almost plenty of time to come on down.
One of the most enduring Science Olympiad events has revolved around the design of the bridge or tower. This year, the event is Boom-A-Lever.
The object of this event is to build a wooden structure that can support the weight of sand slowly poured into a bucket. Our very own Jason Durgala is standing by and has more from the Boom-A-Lever competition.
To hold a specified weight, and this is very similar to a crane. All right, they're getting their bucket in position. The device is looking pretty steady so far. But will it be able to hold that much sand? I guess we'll find out. Oh, here the sand comes. They're pouring it pretty slowly. A lot of people say that the actual way you pour it doesn't really matter that much. Oh, and it snapped. But it held together for a pretty decent amount of time. So I guess we'll see with the next competitors. A large amount of stress. However, will that be enough? All right, and now they're getting the second team ready to go. They got to set it up on the hook and then attach the chain to the bucket and then to the Boom-A-Lever. Now, what could have caused the breakage in the first one could be glue joints that aren't fully attached together. A lot of people say that if your glue is not fully dry or if it's has a big gap in between the wood, it could cause breakage like that. Now we're just waiting for the next person to go. In this competition, they say that It doesn't matter how fast you pour it out. It actually is better if you do it faster, because the longer you wait with the sand pouring into the bucket, the more stress the device is going under. So that could actually cause a breakage if you do it too slowly. Oh, I guess that team is not competing for right now. I guess they're signing up more people. They measure the size of the device and also the weight of the device. They wanted to keep the weight pretty low and also their device pretty even. They want a very symmetrical design so that way it can hold the weight more effectively. And another event went off. Now we wait by while they get their measurement and requirements put in. And I believe the judges are talking over the first event. It's very interesting that it's put on a hook, but that's not even what matters. What matters is the building itself, the way they formatted the arches and stuff to see if that could hold up the sand. So it doesn't matter if the hook is metal. It's all dependent on the wood that they use and the way they build it. I'm seeing very similar designs throughout. They're all shaped in a cone shape or a triangle, triangular patterns. Many almost appear to look like ladders. Very important thing in this event is if you keep your device very symmetrical. It's a structure you want to hold, to keep holding it together under a lot of weight. So we are going to pass it on to the next person. This is it for right now, but we'll come back, see more action later.
When you hear competitors at Olympiad talk, they usually talk about their team. Schools competing in Science Olympiad may enter up to 15 students in one team, and schools may enter multiple teams.
Each team must have a separate coach. Since Science Olympiad events are designed to use a variety of intellectual and practical skills, it is up to the coach to decide a team strategy to compete in a variety of events offered at Olympiad.
Coaches, for example, may find it beneficial to load a team with seniors who have taken biology, earth science, chemistry, physics, and other advanced sciences.
However, coaches can also fill a team with sophomores and juniors whose knowledge on one science subject may be more recent than that of a senior. This also gives the coach the opportunity to build for the future, or have a team at a later date that is more experienced.
Now standing by to give us an idea of just what goes through the mind of a coach when we put together and organize a team is Joanna with the team coach.
Tell me a little bit about your team.
Yes, I'm head coach at Science Olympiad, and this year we have two teams competing. We have a JV team that's comprised mostly of 6th and 7th graders, and then we have a varsity team that is mainly 8th graders, and most of them are returning for their 2nd and 3rd year.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And how did you prepare your team for Olympiad competition?
We meet Mondays after school once a week, and I highly encourage them to work on their own outside of school as much as possible. That usually doesn't happen as frequently as I like until about 2 to 3 weeks prior to competition, but they tend to cram it all in there and do a pretty good job.
That's always good. I mean, I'm sure they do prepare as much as they possibly can, you know?
As much as they can, sure.
And do you have a strategy for competing at Science Olympiad?
Yes, our strategy at competing, the one thing I constantly tell them is to relax and take your time. It's a long day. There's no need to rush. I feel like people rush around here and it's hectic, and slow it down. Slow the day down. Know what you're supposed to do. Be prepared ahead of time. When you come here, if you know what you're going to do and you're prepared, the day goes a lot smoother.
Yeah. And are some events more difficult to prepare for?
I feel like there's some events that require more preparation as far as from an engineering perspective. Although I don't think there's events that are harder than others, because I think different types of students excel at different types of events. So from a difficulty standpoint, I feel like they can all be difficult in their own way. But for a, from an engineering perspective, Mission Possible with the Rube Goldberg machines, that takes a lot of time in order to achieve everything that they're asking. So that is an example of something that I feel does take a lot of time to prepare for.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what makes Science Olympiad so exciting for students?
I think what makes it so exciting is that they have the opportunity to not only put in the time and excel at their events, but also get awarded for that. Students that don't necessarily play sports, a lot of our kids do play sports, and I highly encourage them to do other things outside of school other than Science Olympiad. But for the ones that don't, it brings that competitive atmosphere to them in science and engineering.
Yeah, do you think that competitive aspect is important for students to have?
I do. I think it's good to learn early on in life, how to compete and how to win, especially in these fields where when you get into the real world, so many of these areas are going to be based on competition. So from whatever it is you're building or designing to, medically, just interviewing and getting a job. So if this is what you want to do in life, then absolutely there's, a competitive aspect to that.
Yeah, that's very true. And we'll be right back.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanna, for that special report with the coach. This gym is starting to rock and things are kicking into high gear here. Events underway right now are Gravity Vehicle, Boom-A-Lever, Right Stuff, and more.
Right now, competitors in Ping-Pong Parachute are getting ready to compete, and they're taking you down right now to the action.
Here we are at Ping-Pong Parachute. A team recently launched their parachute and it seems to be going really well. The goal of this event is to have their parachute stay in the air for as long as possible. Behind me you can see teams from all over the region competing to see who has the best parachute. So we've had some really good parachutes so far and also some that have crashed down really quickly. In this event, there are teams of 2 and they will design and build two bottle rockets prior to the tournament. The objective of the challenge in this event is to launch an alternate ping pong ball into the air and keep it aloft for the most amount of time. Use the parachute that is attached to the ping pong ball. Use only duct tape. All right, and that is all for right now.
And we are back at the Right Stuff. As you can see, the plane just took off and it looked like a pretty good throw. As you can see, the man picked it up, and that is not normally allowed because the contestant always has to go and get it themselves because there's a timer of 5 minutes running. Contestants in this event focus on building a working plane to weight and trimming it until it flies around in circles before worrying too much about advanced techniques or bonuses. A simple, well-trimmed plane with lots of practice flights will do great in this event. So if your plane is not adequate or you didn't practice enough with it or get it to the exact right measurements, it's not going to do as well as other planes. But as you can see, these contestants are doing extremely well and their planes are looking really well. And you will also notice that this event calls for indoor planes, and indoor planes are not meant to be thrown, just released. So you will see them, competitors simply walk with the plane to its normal flight speed and release. We have a high ceiling here on Trask, so these planes are wound tight for maximum speed, as you can tell. And that was a really, really good throw. It was really nice, soft, and smooth. All right, and now back to you.
Welcome! The Gravity Vehicle is back at Science Olympiad this year. It's similar to the old Scrambler event, except the Gravity Vehicle does not involve an egg. The energy for travel comes solely from the gravitational potential of energy. It would be wise to understand the basics of it. Teams in this event must bring their own ramp, vehicle, and any tools required to calibrate the vehicle. The ramp is used to direct the energy into propelling your vehicle forward. Ideally, it would be best if the ramp was adjustable. One way to do this is by hinging your ramp at the front and end, the area where it touches the floor, and using supports of various heights to raise the back end, resulting in different slopes. Also, you can use a system that is used on pool chairs, although it may be more complex to build. Alright, looks like they're setting up their car here. They're almost ready. Regardless of what aspect, your vehicle will need to be light, but not so light that it doesn't have any traction. Alright, setting it up and hanging it on the metal sheet. Alright, getting on the floor. Alright, getting a ruler. Yep, checking it again. Yep, they seem to be checking it. Getting on the floor. Yeah, I like seeing that too. Alright, construction of the vehicle will be similar to vehicle events in the past, like wheeled vehicle, electric vehicle, Mousetrap Vehicle, and most notably the Scrambler. Oh my god! Excuse me, sorry. The chassis of your vehicle will need to be rigid and well built. Unlike years past, this year's event calls for a propulsion method that will place a great deal of stress on the frame. Therefore, it is crucial to build a solid structure. A flimsy chassis will result in an unpredictable path leading to a loss of points. The chassis will be built either as 4 walls or simply one flat board like this. And as you can see, you can look at theirs like that. Some materials for the chassis are wood, metal. Oh, look, they're going. Oh, yeah, look at that. And it has passed the white. Oh, yeah, it just keeps on going. And it stopped. Wow. All right, back to you.
Well, this wraps up our first full-hour coverage of the 2020 Regional Science Olympiad. Coming up, we'll have more live play-by-play coverage of events right here in Trask Coliseum.
Plus, we'll talk live with student competitors and spotlight volunteers here at Olympiad and more.
So much to come. Keep it tuned here. We'll be right back for more science action.
Now don't go away. Science Olympiad coverage from New Hanover County Schools Television will continue right after this quick break. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at NHCS TV.
Hey! There are amazing things to discover in the forest.
Toothless, time to go! What you picking up on, bud?
It's a whole hidden world of wonders. And the perfect place to spend time with family. What better place to let your imagination soar? Experience nature and create a memory you can share. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest or park near you.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Roll over.
Chance high five. All right.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique.
And your mother and...
I am totally a hat person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Good morning, Uglyville! Every ugly doll is unique.
I'm Moxie.
Bobo.
Wait.
Call me Slick Doll.
What?
And every child is too.
They can be pretty lovable.
That's why when you travel, you should make sure your child is in the right seat for their age and size.
This is why you're the wisest doll in town.
Well, keep them safe by visiting NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Isn't that right, gibberish cat?
Couldn't be better.
Find the right seat today.
Regional Science Olympiad is made possible with the support of SYSTEM, the Center for Education in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. Now, back to New Hanover County Schools television coverage of Regional Science Olympiad.
Good afternoon, and welcome to New Hanover County Schools live coverage of the 2020 Regional Science Olympiad from the campus of UNCW. I'm Ely Feldman, and my co-host Milo Kenny.
This is our second hour of Olympiad coverage. During the second hour, we have more event reports, interviews, plus our exclusive live play-by-play coverage of all events taking place all around here in Trask Coliseum.
Science Olympiad tournaments are rigorous academic competitions that consist of a series of different hands-on, interactive, challenging, and question-based events that are well balanced between the various disciplines of biology, earth science, environmental science, chemistry, physics, engineering, and technology.
Everyone can find their niche for his or her particular skill in Science Olympiad.
Now we send it over to Joanna at the Boomalever.
As you can see, the students and the contestants are waiting to look at their results, and they're figuring out their scores right now. And they just finished up their 5 minutes for their planes, for their throwing of the planes. And then also, to get their planes to turn in circles as they fly, contestants have to use a couple of methods. One is setting the wings angled relative to horizontal stabilizers, so they are skewed, causing the plane to roll. This works because the lift vectors are directly perpendicular to the surfaces that generate them. Another way is by turning the rotor vertical stabilizer so that the entire plane yaws. The plane is now moving forward, but pointing slightly to the side. One tip of the wing is now pointing more forward than it was before, which this causes the end of the wing to rise, and this causing the plane to roll. And that's a very effective strategy to use when throwing the plane, because it'll help the plane stay up longer in the air. And then it is also recommended that contestants use a rubber winder to help avoid damaging the prop and to save time. The key to winding is to place as many winds as possible without the band breaking. It takes a true feel to know when you are on the edge and when you can still put in a few more winds. So coaches always suggest lots of practice. As you can see, a few contestants are getting ready and talking to the judges. All right, and now back to you.
The current team on the stage at Ping-Pong Parachute is ready to launch their parachute. They are about to start pumping their parachute with air, and we're going to see if they will meet the criteria of this event. So they're currently pumping up their parachute, and they're pumping and pumping and pumping it up. And so now we will see if they will achieve a score that will reach them into the top places. And there goes their parachute, and it crashes, unfortunately. They will get a second chance to launch their parachute to see if it will launch better this time. So the scoring in this event is based on what tire your rocket falls in once launched. So if the ping pong ball doesn't separate from the rocket, then the timing starts from when the rocket separates from the launcher and is placed in tire 2. So if any part of the rocket, including the ping pong ball and parachute, hits the ceiling or any part connected to the ceiling, then the time is stopped at an instant it hits the ceiling and is placed on tire 3. Ranking for this event is determined by the greatest time aloft of the ping pong ball from a single launch within a tire. The best tire and or greatest time in air will be used to break ties. So, teams in this event must arrive at the competition ready to launch, bringing proper eye protection with them. Once they are ready, the teams will have their rockets inspected for safety. During each inspection, all teams must provide a flight log of recorded data for each rocket. The data must include 5 or more parameters of 20 or more test flights prior to the competition of each rocket. Teams will use their flight data log to justify the pressure they choose. All right. This is all for ping pong parachutes right now.
Hi, we're at Boom Lever, where a group is about to set up and test their boom lever's strength. Right now they're telling them how to handle the bucket to keep it steady so that sand doesn't pour out accidentally. Now this boom lever looks quite strong. The structure seems very impressive, and it kind of matches some of the structures we've seen earlier that have done really, really well. So the design of the boom lever is usually very simple, although it looks like this group has taken kind of a more complicated stance and added a lot more sticks likely to hold better support. And it seems like there's no gaps in the glue joint, which I've heard is very, very bad. Now it seems like we're about to start testing. They've just put it on, and now they're checking the chain that attaches the bucket to test the boom lever. We are about to see how this team does, how this team fares in the competition. Now the boom lever is actually a more difficult event than the tower bridge because you're working with a single arm rather than an object with a support base. So this single arm has to support all of the weight that is about to be held underneath it. The boom lever, I mean, this boom lever looks a bit. The only challenge I can really see is it looks a bit thin, but I've been surprised multiple times throughout this competition. And it seems like they are about to set up. The design, though, looks really, really good. And so they're trying to hold it up right now, currently. And an audience has started to gather around the boom lever. They are about to start testing. Okay. Now it looks like the sand is starting to pour out. I can only imagine what these competitors are thinking. And it sadly just snapped at the bottom part. Luckily, the structure stayed pretty sound. I've seen other groups who have completely ripped into shreds, but this group seems to have done pretty well. Now they are weighing the sand, and we're about to see how it does. I feel like this group did pretty well. Now that's all we have from the boom lever section. Back to you.
You might hate me, but
I grew up.
As we move into our second hour of coverage, we want to acknowledge the support and cooperation of business and industry, government and education leaders for sponsoring the year's Regional Science Olympiad.
Without the support of these supporters, we would not be here today, and this would not be possible.
We'd like to take a moment to thank them and hope you at home will too.
The 2020 Regional Science Olympiad sponsors are GE General Electric, C-STEM, Corning, New Hanover County Schools, UNCW's Watson College of Education, and McDonald's.
If your business would be interested in supporting next year's Science Olympiad, please call Carmen Sudbury at 962-4266.
Your support is tax deductible.
And once again, thank you for sponsoring such an excellent event.
Now, earlier this morning, our crews fanned out here at Trask Coliseum. Each reporter and camera operator was ready to provide play-by-play coverage of today's competition. Let's take a look at some of this morning's action.
All right, I'm here with
Abby Hubbard.
And Dylan Miner.
And what school do you guys go to?
Surf City Middle School.
And you guys competed in the car event here at Science Olympiad. Can you tell me a little bit about the car you designed for this?
Yeah, so this car is powered by a Mousetrap, and so what we do to make it run is we wind these back wheels whichever direction we want it to go, and then it goes. So it just rolls. And we found out that however many, for example, just then we did 25 spins, and so we spun it 25 times and it went 10 meters. So we figured out 20 spins equals 9 meters.
I see. So what did you guys do in your design to help set it apart from the other cars to make it go further?
We tried making the string. We thought that moving this mousetrap different places would help, maybe that we could test at different times and see which one worked best to have more possibilities of how far it could go so that we'd have more options.
Okay, and how long did you guys work on this project?
For the last 2 weeks, we spent about 1 hour each. We've spent about 1 hour each day, not counting the weekends or Wednesday. And then for the last few months, it's been every Tuesday and Thursday for about an hour and a half.
You said last 2 months? Thereabout?
Last few months, it was maybe 5 months?
Yeah, probably about 5.
And so that's a long time. How many prototypes or versions of the vehicle did you go through?
This is the second one.
Second prototype? Okay. And say with these wheels, how many different versions of wheels or boards did you go through?
We used these wheels on both designs, and then for the last design we tried smaller wheels, but we found that these work better.
I see. And is this your first time doing Science Olympiad?
No.
No, it's not.
How many times have you guys done this?
This is my 4th time doing.
In middle school, this is my 2nd. In all, this is my 5th.
Okay, and are you guys competing in any other events this Science Olympiad?
Yes, I'm competing in Dynamic Planet, Ping-Pong Parachute, and Reach for the Stars.
Jack of all trades, and you?
I'm competing in Boom-A-Lever and Game On.
And have you guys done either of those events yet?
No.
No, we have not.
All right, well, thanks for talking with me and telling me about your car. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a good day.
Welcome back. We have new contestants out on the floor. Looks like they're about to start their first test. Getting set up, getting ready. Making sure everything's in the proper place. Hopefully nothing falls off. From what I'm seeing, this car looks a lot smaller, but it has a big ol' propulsion arm. Is that what they're called? Dowel, that's what they're called. So hopefully it isn't as counterbalanced as it looks, but it looks pretty sturdy, honestly. Let's see. Making all those minor adjustments, making sure everything's good. Let's see. Looks like the judges are talking to them, making sure they're doing nothing, adding or subtracting any new parts. And looks like they're about to start. And we're off. Not a bad try. Getting those measurements. Looks like they're jotting them down, making sure all their tables and graphs and data are looking all nice and pretty. Let's see. And oh, it looks like that was actually their second run, maybe. That or they're just going over something with the judges. But however, with that, we'll keep you posted.
All right, we are here at the Ping-Pong Parachute. We've got our contestants setting up their gear, and they are getting ready to launch. They're setting the Ping-Pong Parachute into the launcher, and then The launcher is gonna launch the ping pong ball. All right, they've got to pump it up. All right, it's getting ready to go. Got the judges here about to time the event. They're pumping it up. All right, let's see what they do. All right, look at that. All right. Wow, look at that. Got some great distance on there. That was awesome. Great job. All right, so now the judges timed their event, and then they're gonna give them their score, and hopefully it'll be enough to beat the other teams. All right, looks great. So I think they're gonna get their scores, and then the other teams are gonna go on. Awesome.
Events are just heating up here at Olympiad, and students are not just here for the fun of the competition.
Olympiad is a serious event with medals and trophies on the line. All teams who participate and compete according to the rules must be scored and ranked.
To give you an idea of just how scoring for Science Olympiad is handled, we have this special video to help explain it.
Today I'm joined by Chris Gordon, the man responsible for calculating the points earned during Science Olympiad and determining who wins gold, silver, and bronze. Welcome, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I guess that the most important question is, how do the competitors actually earn points at the Science Olympiad?
Science Olympiad is scored very much like golf. The lowest score wins. And so what happens is each individual event has a coach that judges the event to make sure that the students are doing all the things they're supposed to and they're participating by the rules. And what happens is each one of those coaches will fill out a sheet ranking the students from 1 to 20 or however many teams we have. That sheet comes back to us, and the team or the students who get scores of 1, 2, and 3 were the first, second, and third best. So they have the lowest scores. Students who didn't score as well have higher numbers, and their rank is a higher number. And then we total all those together to come up with team scores. So the team with the lowest number of points wins first, second, and third places.
So when the points are earned, what do you do with them?
When individual coaches, they fill out the sheets and they bring them back to us. We take those and we double check everything that the coaches did to make sure there were no ties and that they rank them appropriately by the scores achieved by students. We take that, we enter it into a spreadsheet that automatically calculates the grades. We can also, if a student didn't show up for the event, because some teams are smaller than others and they don't have participants in every single event. So those teams get a score of NS, or no show, because they didn't send someone to that event. And if that happens, those teams are put all the way at the bottom because they didn't send anyone. And so we put all that into the spreadsheet and we print that out at the end, and it tells us not only who won the individual events, but it also generates the team scores for us and generates team winners as well.
And if there is a tie, how do you handle that?
Typically that's handled by the coaches for the individual events. They have special questions that they chose, typically the more difficult questions, and they look to see if either of the teams who tied got that question correct. Or they look at which one was closest to the ideal model. Very rarely do ties come in, and if a tie gets to us and it hasn't been rectified yet, we always look at the test or the event, and we have a sheet that tells us how to break those ties for each individual event, and it's handled by the numbers.
And does your team keep score by hand?
It starts out by hand. Individual coaches for the events keep that score, then they bring it to us and we put it onto a spreadsheet, and from there it's all electronic, and it's nice to have it that way because the scoring is really complicated, especially when you get up into the team events.
And can the competitors during the events find out what their score is?
That's one of the biggest questions, and a lot of people, including coaches for the schools and students themselves, want to know how their teams are doing. Right. The sad part is we can't tell that right up to the very end. In fact, the award ceremony starts before we even know who the winners are. So we are still calculating scores, and we are still trying to find out who the team winners are as the award ceremony goes on. And that's why the team scores are always held for last, because we don't know that.
And is there a strategy that the teams can do to get a lower score?
The best way to get a low score is to have someone compete in every single event. Because if you don't have someone compete in an event, not only do you get the lowest score possible, I must say the highest score possible, you also get extra points for not having someone at that event. So The best thing to do, I could say, is have someone show up for every event and try your hardest. Follow the rules so you don't get disqualified, because if you get disqualified, not only do you also get extra points tacked on. So you don't want to get disqualified, and you want to have someone at every single event.
And what's the biggest challenge with keeping up with the scores?
The biggest challenge is the first set of events comes in at noon, and we have plenty of time to score those and rank those. The second set of scores from the afternoon events comes in after the award ceremony started. So after lunch, we're always in a rush to get those scores into the computer as quickly and accurately as possible, so that it can be sent over to the award ceremony. That's why we work with a team of at least 2 people entering scores, and the coaches, the judges of the events ensure that they have all the good, accurate data to us so that we can quickly enter it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
And that's all from here. Back to you.
Science Olympiad is a great organization for students to participate in. It is aimed to attract students to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics degrees and careers with fun activities and competitions.
Science Olympiad elevates academic learning to a level of enthusiasm and support that is normally reserved for athletic programs.
Most importantly, Science Olympiad has proven to be an effective program that ignites a passion for science in participants and leads them to further their interests in learning.
It is a great investment in the student's future, and it is a great investment in your school system.
Now, there is a lot going on here at Trask Coliseum. Each reporter and camera operator is ready to provide play-by-play coverage of today's competition. Let's send it over to R.S. Elliott at Ping-Pong Parachute.
Here we are at Ping-Pong Parachute, wrapping up with the last 2 or 3 teams that are competing. So the current team on the stage is pumping up their parachute to prepare to launch it, and we will see if they will do a good job. Right now they're pumping and pumping, and they're pumping, and they're still pumping, and we'll wait to see when they decide to launch their parachute and how it ends up. So the team is prepared to launch their parachute, and they're about to start, and we will see the end result. There goes the parachute, and unfortunately it falls down very fast, and it did not succeed. They will receive a second chance to launch their parachute again. That's it for right now at Ping-Pong Parachute.
Hi, we're reporting at the Boom-A-Liver where a group is about to test their Boom-A-Liver. This Boom-A-Liver actually seems really well designed. It's pretty thick, which has been an issue in other Boom-A-Livers. Right now they're adding the chain to hold up the bucket, which they're going to pour sand into to test the weight. Now, the only problem I can really see with this Boom-A-Liver is that that the top of the Boom-A-Liver has kind of a short, like a small, thin stick holding the rest of it up, and I feel like that could be an issue. But overall, this Boom-A-Liver seems very, very well designed, and we can see this maybe scoring really well in the competitions. Right now, they are attaching the bucket, though, and we're about to see how this Boom-A-Liver does in the competitions. Looks like she is about to start pouring sand into it. We are we're almost there. It seems like there's a minor issue with the Boom-A-Liver, but it seems like they're going to figure it out. Now, Boom-A-Livers, they are usually very simple, and this design absolutely showcases that simplicity. So I think this Boom-A-Liver will actually do a very, very well job. Now, if you're, the sand, it seems like they're starting to pour sand, and we're about to see how this Boom-A-Liver does in the competition. It seems like it is bending a little bit, which is scaring me, but overall, it's holding a lot of weight so far. I can only imagine what the competitors are feeling right now as they pour sand into it. I am on the edge of my seat. I mean, they are pouring a lot of sand in, and it's working very well for them. And the boom lever, the bucket filling the sand seems to be on the ground, but the boom lever is bending, and the boom lever is bending quite a bit. Luckily, the boom lever seems to have held, surprisingly, with bending this much. We haven't seen anything like this in the competition so far. But overall, it seems like a pretty well-designed product, even with the damages. I think right now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. Back to you.
All right, welcome back to Gravity Vehicle. We have contestants from a school. They're setting up their vehicle here. All right. So, while teams are not allowed to make practice runs after impound, prior to impound is fair games. Teams are advised that if the type of surface the track is on is not what they practice on, they should make a few trial runs at each distance to see how it affects how far your vehicle goes. All right, they're still setting it up. It looks very, very nice. Kind of cute, if I would say so myself. The axles, they will need to be non-flexible and stiff. A crooked axle will greatly affect the path of the vehicle. Materials for the axles many teams may include wooden dosels, brass/aluminum rods, and plastic dowels. Oh, looks like they're setting it up. All right, almost ready, I guess. They're putting the ruler down and setting it up again still, and putting the ruler down and putting the pencil, I assume, into the thing. Yep. They continue to push down the pencil. Alrighty. Oh, look at it. Wow, that went far. Alrighty. Alright, back to you.
Here at Ping-Pong Parachute, we have the team from C-Tech High School launching their parachute. It's doing a very good job, and it seemed to succeed very well. They're going to launch their parachute one more time, and we'll see how it goes for them. Obviously, they had much success with their parachute, and there are only 2 more teams left to compete. Soon we'll see which team overall earns the higher score. So the C-Tech team is preparing to launch their parachute once more, and we'll see how that ends up. So they're setting up their parachute right now, and they're preparing it for launch, while the final 2 teams are preparing to launch their rockets. So they're setting their ping pong ball onto their rocket and setting it up so it's prepared to launch into the air. Right now they're pumping up their rocket with air so they can launch it and see how their rocket will do. So right now they're pumping and pumping and pumping their rocket with air, and they are preparing to launch it to see if they will have another successful run. So they're currently still pumping up the rocket, and it seems like they have stopped. So they're about to launch their parachute, and another success. Their parachute is going down very slowly, which is very good, as that is the purpose of this event. So, all right. So the C-Tech team in ping pong parachute obviously had much success compared to other teams. And that is it for the ping pong parachutes.
All right, welcome back to Gravity Vehicle. We just finished one team's car, and now they are calibrating a second one. All right, we're just waiting on them to start, but alrighty, they're putting on the vehicle now, as you can see, and looking down on it, bending over and looking straight. Okay, now they're putting the pencil on and pushing. Wow, look at it go. Wow. Wow, I think that's like about at the white line there. Wow. Wow, I think that's about at the line. Okay, now they're measuring how far it is from it. Wow, looks like it went a bit off there. Wow. I think that did, I think as good or a bit better than the last one. Alrighty. They look pretty pleased with themselves. It's good. Alrighty, so I guess they're gonna start on the next vehicle.
Are we done for mine?
Yep, that's pretty cute. They're just standing there now. Oh, wrap it up. Alright, back to you.
All right, so here we have the final two teams competing at the parachute. So this team obviously is also having much success, like many others. Their parachute is falling down very slowly. And they will launch their parachute one more time to see. And they will launch their parachute one more time, and we'll see if they will have success this time too. That is it for parachutes today.
Walk over there and let's put it down.
Hi, we're at the Boom-A-Lever section where a group from Trask is about to test their Boom-A-Lever. Now, this Boom-A-Lever looks fairly well designed. We can really expect this to do amazing in the competition. And it seems to be fairly thick, which really, really helps holding up the amount of sand that is anticipated in this challenge. Now, Boom-A-Levers, there's no single design for a Boom-A-Lever, but the Boom-A-Lever must be attached to the bolt on the wall. That's really one of the only rules. And it's basically like a crane arm. That's what a Boom-A-Lever is. Now, it seems like they're getting ready to test their product. But so far, I can't see a single flaw in the Boom-A-Lever. All right, well, it seems like they're explaining to it right now. And the Boom-A-Levers undergo many different stresses than a tower. Now, Boom-A-Levers undergo many different stresses than a tower or a bridge because of the single attachment point. Usually, they're built on a combination of balsa, bass, or spruce. And the structures have been known to be very competitive when the Boom-A-Lever itself is weighed less than 1 ounce and yet held the maximum amount of sand. Now, anything could happen in this competition. We've seen incredibly thin Boom-A-Levers held incredible amounts of sand, and really thick Boom-A-Levers fall apart. However, I don't think this Boom-A-Lever is going anywhere. It seems like they're about to start setting up, and it seems like they have kind of an archway at the top, which I feel like could really, really well support this boom lever. It seems like they're still being explained to, though. And I've heard that gaps in glue chains are supposedly evil. They're really supposedly not firm, and they can basically lead to the complete collapse of boom lever. However, I haven't seen a single boom lever actually have any of these, especially not this one. This one seems very intricately designed. Now it seems like they're about to test it. It seems like we're just waiting for that to happen. Now, as you watch this event in action, you'll notice a variety of different styles. The pros suggest that competitors not waste time pouring sand. The longer the boom lever has to hold weight, the more likely it is to break. Boom lever competitors should avoid spilling sand. We have seen cases right here in past events where the event's supervisors make the competitors pick up the sand off the floor and put it back into the bucket. Luckily, we haven't seen any of this happen today, and the competition has gone by pretty fast. It's incredibly interesting, and some of the best engineering designs we've seen all day at this wonderful competition. Also, Science Olympiad is an incredible opportunity for these students. It's shown to help improve engineering and science status later in life. I think they are about to test the boom lever. It seems like they're just getting ready, getting prepared. And there has been kind of an audience, a group of judges, getting ready to stand by on this product. Oh, they are putting the chain, which holds the bucket, which the boom lever has to hold. Now, this could make or break this boom lever. We are just standing by, ready to see anything that happens, anything at all. However, right now, the boom lever seems to be doing pretty well. And we can really expect anything from this right now. But that's all we have from the boom lever section right now. But we'll update you with any further notice. Back to you.
Thank you to our reporter. We'll head back to the floor in a few minutes for more action from the Olympiad competition. But for now, it's time to take another short break.
This is live coverage from the 2020 Regional Science Olympiad from New Hanover County Schools TV. Look for all the latest news online at www.nhcs.net. Please friend NHCS TV on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Now don't go away. Science Olympiad coverage from New Hanover County Schools Television will continue right after this quick break. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at NHCS TV.
Crooked teeth may embarrass kids whose families can't afford braces, and trying to fix their teeth themselves can make things worse. Luckily, there's Donated Orthodontic Services, a program from the American Association of Orthodontists. For children and teens who qualify and are matched with a volunteer orthodontist, treatment can be life-changing and help them smile with confidence. Learn more at aaoinfo.org.
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here. Or maybe even here.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay if they seem down.
It doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
Oh, gee. You all right, girl? You cool?
You bugging dog.
Just show you're there for them. Go on, Kelly.
Susie awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth. without any bread and kiss them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Regional Science Olympiad is made possible with the support of Corning. Now, back to New Hanover County Schools television coverage of Regional Science Olympiad.
Good afternoon and welcome back to New Hanover County's television live coverage of the 2020 Regional Science Olympiad from the campus of UNCW. I'm Milo Kenny.
And I'm Ely Feldman. We're in the middle of our second hour of Olympiad coverage. During this half hour, we will have more event reports, plus our live play-by-play coverage of events taking place around Trost Coliseum.
Regional Science Olympiad is a complex event. It takes motivated students, teachers, and volunteers to make it happen.
It also takes dedicated workers all year long to make Olympiad a rewarding and fun event for students on the regional, state, and finally the national level.
Standing by live with more information on state level for Olympiad is Jason Dergala, and he will tell us about what winners today will continue on to.
Back with
Dave Glenn,
who is local organizer and who's here today to tell us more about the state competition and how the competitors here today can advance on the states. Welcome, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
So our first question is, can you tell us a little our viewers more about how the state level competition works and where it's held at?
Yeah, absolutely. So the state competition is comprised of teams that win or place high in their local or regional events, like at UNCW. But then they also have a first place overall winner section. So teams that aren't advancing as a team, but might have placed first overall in their event here today, can go and compete at the state competition. And we have almost a dozen regional competitions at the middle school and high school level, including little regional competitions for elementary. But all the middle school and high school competitions send teams to the state event in April. So that'll be going on next month.
How can people come and watch the competitions that are taking place in the state level?
So the state tournament's always held at NC State University. Reynolds Coliseum is kind of the central hub up there, and just like out here at UNCW, there's plenty of spectator events. There's a lot of closed events, so they can't go and watch the kids. That's not fun anyways, right? But all the engineering events are open, and you can watch them shoot the rockets inside or fly the planes, that kind of thing. So that'd be at Reynolds Coliseum up at NC State.
With such a large number of contestants at state competition, where do all the judges that are required to participate come from?
Yeah, so Science Olympiad could not happen without volunteer help. So, at UNCW, they're fortunate to have GE and Corning pitch in. At NC State, we've got local corporations and science companies that are pitching in volunteers. A lot of the teams that are coming up are bringing some volunteers with them. But I can't tell you and say thank you enough to the volunteers, because without the volunteers, we couldn't make Science Olympiad happen.
And how is the Olympiad funded?
That's a great question. I know Kim Gervaisi, the state director, has been really working on corporate funding, and so she's had a lot of companies come on board recently to sponsor different events for the state, but also just overall, and just create this great experience and opportunity for students who are passionate in science to come and kind of show off their talents and their abilities to do that. So yeah, we couldn't do it without our corporate sponsors either. And universities, right? UNCW and NC State, and UNC Charlotte and UNCG. There's lots of those type of partnerships also that are helping us be able to run these events.
It's really full circle.
Yeah, it really is full circle. All hands on deck.
Yeah. There are a lot of new STEM competitions cropping up this year, and has this had any effect on how the Olympiad competitions are run or held?
Well, Science Olympiad continues to grow in North Carolina. It's a very popular STEM competition. We're kind of in the middle of the season. It kind of runs between February and April. But teams are, preparing as far back as August, the start of the year. And just like anything, I think any STEM competition is good for our students. Just like, some athletes are 3-sport athletes. We want our scientists to be 3-sport scientists, right? I'll coin that term. We want them competing in different events and exploring their passions and talents in science and engineering and other places also. But we're still seeing Science Olympiad be still ever more popular. New teams starting every year at the elementary, middle, and high school level.
In medals in Olympiad are awarded up to 7th place. Has there been any talk about possibly tying up the event that you know of and reducing the number of medals given?
Right. So the number of medals really depends on how many teams come to a tournament. So UNCW is a pretty big tournament in terms of middle and high school competitors. So that's why we're able to place so many places. Now, where it becomes an issue is as it becomes more popular in the states, we have to reduce the number of teams that can go to the state competition from UNCW, right? Yeah. So we're always looking at those numbers, and those numbers change from year to year. But it's a great thing. It's a great problem to have where more people want to participate in science.
And everyone always wants to know how, if they're not currently involved in Science Olympiad, how can they get involved at the state level?
Yeah, so there's always opportunities for people to volunteer at the state tournament, and there is a public or a way that you can fund and become part of our partnership circle. So if you were to go to sciencenc.com, the state website, there's more information about there, and that you could contribute monetarily each month. But there's also a list of all the tournaments that are going on in the state. And of course, the big one is the state tournament in April, the weekend of April 25th. And the great thing this year is we have nationals coming to NC State. So in May, we'll have pretty much another state tournament, except it'll be on the national level. So the top teams from all over the country will be coming to NC State this May, and could not be more excited about that too.
Cool, cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add about Science Olympiad on the state level?
No, it's amazing to see all the competitors each time we go out, and the competition is really high here at UNCW. But when you go to NC State, you really see that competition go up, and you see kids from all over the state that are passionate about doing science. And this is the next generation of scientists and engineers, and that's always exciting to see because you just look a little bit in the current news and you can see why we need that next generation of scientists to come and be proficient and be good at being science and continue just that generation of exploring and learning.
I thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Keep in mind, this afternoon, after all the events wrap up, you can find out all the winners of today's events during the live coverage of our Regional Science Olympiad ceremony.
Lots of events are in full swing here in Trask Coliseum. We're going to send it to Joanna, who is standing by with the play coverage of Electric Launch Glider.
Welcome back to Right Stuff. As you can see, the student is preparing her firing airplane, and she's about to launch, as you can see. Hopefully this will be a good one. Oh, that was a pretty good run. I'm sure she's going to do another one because she has 5 minutes to get as many as she possibly can within that time frame. It's recommended that contestants use a rubber winder to help avoid damaging the prop and to save time. And the key to winding is to place as many winds as possible without the band breaking. It takes a true feel to know when you are on the edge and when you can still put on a few more winds. So coaches always suggest lots of practice. As you can see, these students look very practiced and very ready and very excited to compete. And it looks like she's about to launch it again. And it did another little flip. It looked pretty cool. But I'm sure she couldn't get it in the air longer. Serious indoor flyers keep very accurate logs so they can test and record what makes their planes most efficient. Some suggested data are rubber size, rubber weight, number of winds, number of D-winds, launch torque, circle radius, max height, number of winds left, prop diameter, pitch/width, duration, and things like that. And as you can tell, she's about to launch it again. This one looks like it's going to be a good one. And it was around the same as the last time. It looked pretty good still. and I think she's going to shoot it off another time, and hopefully it'll stay up in the air longer. The teams are allowed to use as many materials needed to trim and calibrate their planes during the event. So you will also notice that this event calls for indoor planes. Indoor flight planes are not meant to be thrown. All right, and now back to you.
We're back at the boom lever section where a group is about to test their boom lever. Right now, they're just getting explained the competition to them, and another group is having their bucket weighed at this current moment. Now, it seems like this design looks very, very stable. It kind of has like very well made supports, which we've seen work incredibly well for other competitions. Now, as they explained this boom lever, it's kind of boom lever is basically kind of like a crane arm. It's built to hold a specified weight at a given distance from vertical substance. Now, this boom lever looks like it can fully support this bucket and likely any amount of sand that you ask it to hold. I can see this boom lever doing very well in the competitions. Now, right now, they're showing them how to keep the bucket steady, which is an important part of this boom lever competition. If the bucket sways too much, it can likely miss sand and can make the boom lever have to deal with more and more stress. Now, they're talking about the pressure of how they're going to pour sand into the bucket. Now, the pros suggest that competitors not waste time pouring sand. The longer that the boom lever has to hold weight, the more likely it is to break. Boom lever competitors should also avoid spilling sand, which we talked about slightly earlier. And it seems like they are attaching their boom lever to the wall, which means that the competition is about to start. It seems like they're attaching it right now, and they're doing... Right now, everything seems pretty well. It's kind of designed like a outwards, like a kind of construction arm, like a crane arm, sorry. Now, it seems like they're about to attach the chain, which holds up the bucket, and a timer is going off at another boom lever section, but that boom lever has already kind of collapsed, but this boom lever seems like it's going to do very well. Now we're just waiting for anything to happen. An audience has gathered, and several people are incredibly excited to see what will happen. Now it seems like they're attaching the chain, which will connect the bucket to the boom lever and have a suspended weight. I can only imagine what the competitors are thinking right now as they attach it. I mean, I am on the edge of my seat. The audience seems to be very much as well. We are all looking to see what happens in this competition. Now this seems like a pretty well-supported boom lever. It seems like they are adjusting it a little bit so it can hold the weight a little bit better. But overall, everything looks amazing to me. They even had a little small spot for the chain to fit through, which this insight could provide a little insight that they know what's going on in this competition. Now it seems like they're getting ready to pour the sand. Will it be slow or will it be fast? We're about to find out. And it seems like they're starting off kind of slow. Oh, no, they're increasing the pressure. It seems like they're trying to hold the bucket as steady as possible. They're doing a pretty well job. And the boom lever doesn't even seem to be tilting in the slightest. Wow. And the sand is coming fast. This boom lever is actually staying very, very well sturdy. This boom lever might actually be able to hold all the sand in the bucket. Wow. This is incredibly unique. We've only seen this maybe a couple of times, but this boom lever seems to be doing a phenomenal job. Oh, and it seems like the boom lever has just collapsed. Luckily, it seems to be fairly intact. Other groups actually had their boom lever snap into literal shreds. Quite a phenomenal job by this school, though, today. And another and we are finished with the boom lever section. We're actually going to bring more insight coming up later, and we will back to you.
Science Olympiad was created to give all students an opportunity to compete on the same level. In order to ensure fair competition, the Science Olympiad Committee has created rules and codes of ethics for competition.
Teams are expected to compete in the tournament events while making an honest effort to follow the rules and the spirit of the competition. Team members are expected to be builders of all devices used in the events.
The goal of the tournament is to give one's best effort while displaying integrity and good sportsmanship. Failure to follow the rules or be honest by a participant, coach, or a guest of the team may result in disqualification of the team from the events and the future competitions.
To give us the full rundown of the Science Olympiad Code of Ethics and General Rules is Joanna Carey.
Teams are expected to compete in the tournament events with an honest effort to follow the rules and not violate the spirit of the problem. The goal of competition is to give one's best effort while displaying honesty, integrity, and sportsmanship. Students, coaches, supervisors, parents, and guests are expected to display courtesy and respect towards Science Olympiad officials and other teams and guests of the Science Olympiad. Failure to show honesty and/or courtesy by a participant, coach, or guest of the team may result in disqualification of the team from the event, the entire tournament, or future tournaments. The goal is to create a collective example that will promote the spirit of cooperation among all participants. Consider the words of Albert Einstein regarding integrity. The most important human endeavor is the striving for morality in our actions. Our inner balance and even our very existence depends on it. Only morality in our actions can give beauty and dignity to our lives. Therefore, number 1, teams may not interpret the rules so that they have an unfair advantage over the rules or another team. Number 2, unless otherwise stated, it is generally understood that if notes, resources, calculators, actions, etc. are not excluded, then they are permitted unless they violate the spirit of the problem. Number 3, all non-permitted electronic devices must be turned off and if so directed, left in a designated spot. Number 4, once teams have entered the event area to compete, they may not A, leave until they are finished, B, return once they have left, C, communicate with outside resources including people, places, etc. by any means. This effectively excludes the use of any computer, PDA, calculators, wireless devices, phones, etc. that have access to external communication or data retrieval during an event unless specifically permitted. Number 5, safety is of the utmost importance. Event supervisors are obligated to prevent unsafe acts and devices. Safety decisions are not subject to appeal. Contestants may not bring A, flammable liquids or flame or source of any type, such as matches, cigarette lighters, alcohol, and acetone, unless otherwise specified in the event rule. B, strong acids and/or bases of any concentration, mild acids and/or bases such as lemon juice or vinegar may be permitted only as specified in the rules. Number 6, coaches, teachers, parents, and other adult supervisors are responsible for ensuring that applicable laws, regulations, and school policies are not broken. Number 7, one or more of the 15 current team members must have constructed all pre-built devices presented for judging. Any of the current team members may demonstrate or operate the device at the competition unless stated otherwise in the rules. Number 8, any person designated by the coach can impound devices unless stated otherwise in the rules. In addition, state and regional tournament directors must notify teams of any site-dependent rule or other rule modification at least 30 days prior to the tournament.
Thanks, Joanna. Now we go back to more play-by-play coverage with Araceli, who is covering the ping-pong parachute.
All right, so here at Ping-Pong Parachute, a team has just now launched their parachute. The rocket launched very high, and their parachute is having much success right now as it is going down very, very slowly. the teams looks very proud of their success, and there has only been few parachutes that have managed to reach this sort of success. As you can hear, people from all over the room are clapping for them. Now the team is prepared to launch their parachute once more. All right, so this is it for ping-pong parachutes. Back to you.
Welcome back to Right Stuff. Right Stuff is a Division C event for the 2020 season. The event involves making, testing, and flying an airplane powered by a twisted rubber band, with the goal of achieving the longest flight duration. The airplane can be of any design, though it must conform to rules regarding maximum wing and stabilizer dimension. As you can see, this contestant is about to launch his airplane, and it was a really, really good run. As you can see, it's still up in the air, and it was probably about 5 seconds. Looked pretty good. And he has a total of 5 minutes that he needs to complete the amount of time in. An average Right Stuff airplane consists of 6 parts: wing assembly, a frame made of sticks of low density, balsa wood glued together, covered and glued with a thin covering made of paper or plastic, motor stick, which is the fuselage or body of the plane, tail boom, or the tail of the plane, the propeller assembly, which includes the propeller, the thrust bearing, and the wire propel shaft, finally the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical stabilizer. As you can see, the contestants are getting ready to shoot their next airplane off, and they still got some time left, and they're getting ready for it. It looks like one of their wings broke off of the airplane, which is not good. Hopefully they have materials that can fix it. If not, they'll probably just use the other plane and continue shooting that one instead of the other one. And it looks like that's what they're gonna do. And the contestant shot it off. Oh. And that was a pretty good run. His last one was better, but he's doing good. He's doing good so far. And he's picking it back up again. And he's shooting it off, it looks like. He's getting ready to shoot it. First, he's got to make sure it's accurately put in, because if it's not accurately put in, it's not going to shoot the best or last the longest in the air. And he's shooting it off. Oh, wow, that looked like a good one. There we go. Oh, that was pretty good.
And right now here at the Olympiad.
Over 40 schools with teams with up to 15 students and a coach each.
It takes a lot to prepare students for the events they compete in.
This includes the more visible things like constructing a device.
But there's also a lot of learning and studying that goes into competing.
To learn a little more about how teams prepare, we traveled to several schools prior to today's competition to talk with students and coaches.
Our first report is from Ashley High School and their Science Olympiad team.
Hi, I'm Thomas Jones, and I'm here with Omar, a member of the CTEC Science Olympiad team. How are you today, Omar?
I'm good, thanks.
All right. This is the first time CTEC is competing in the Science Olympiad. Now, how does it feel to be some of the first students on the new team?
It's a great honor. Gives me a tremendous opportunity, and I'm gonna try my best.
Could you tell me some of the events you're competing in and a bit about them?
Well, I'm only competing in one. I'm competing in Boom 11, but there are other events such as forensics, Ping-Pong Parachute, and many more.
And how are you preparing for your event this year?
Well, I have to build the Boom 11, and then we have to make sure to go over the schedule, be ready on time. So that's just a bit of how I'm preparing.
How does it feel to be some of the first students on this new team?
It feels good. It's a good opportunity for me to expand what I normally do, and it's definitely different from anything I've done.
All right. Now, could you give could you tell me a bit about the events you're competing in and like a bit about them?
I'm competing in forensics, and it's more of a study than a physical activity. I have to do a test, and I have to solve a crime.
All right. Now, could you give us a little insight on how you're preparing for this year's competition?
I have a whole big packet of work that would be on the test, and I'm solving crimes.
All right. And so what do you hope for this year at the competition?
That most of us win.
And what's your hope for this year at the competitions?
That these 6 people come back energized and spread the word saying, hey, you know, you should have done the robotics, or you should have done this, and the team will grow. And then hopefully the word will spread that there's scholarships available for winners, and it looks really great on a resume, and it's fun. I mean, you know, that kind of thing.
Welcome back, and correction from the last segment, that was actually C-Tech High School. It's time to wrap up this hour of Olympiad coverage. But sit tight, because we will be back soon with more live play-by-play coverage of the competitions and many of the popular walk-in events.
And make sure you stick around to watch our live coverage of the award ceremony so you can see who will take home the gold, silver, and bronze medals in each event.
But best of all, see which teams will be going on to the state level and national levels.
This is live coverage of the 2020 Regional Science Olympiad for New Hanover County Schools TV. Be sure to check out our archive of videos online at YouTube. Just go to user NHC Schools. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Now don't go away. Science Olympiad coverage from New Hanover County Schools Television will continue right after this quick break. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at NHCS TV.
As farmers and ranchers, stewardship of the land comes naturally. You leave it better than you found it, so future generations can enjoy a way of life that you love. Thanks to your efforts, we're fortunate to experience clean water, abundant wildlife, and healthy rural communities. Your work is vital, and its benefits extend far beyond your property, reaching millions of other Americans who depend on this region every day without even realizing it. You take care of the land because it's the right thing to do. But did you know that conservation can also improve your bottom line? Take a moment and find out how conservation pays. Visit conservationpays.org.
Hey, Dad. I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the
Oh,
waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Maria, so how's work?
It was 4th period biology. Our students just weren't getting how easily viruses spread. So Miss Bell and I had them role play a zombie virus outbreak. By the time they had all learned the lesson, all the living were dead. Hey, how's your job going?
That big sales meeting I planned? Next year, I might get to go.
Cool.
Regional Science Olympiad is made possible with the support of General Electric. Now, back to New Hanover County Schools television coverage of Regional Science Olympiad.